Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades, here's your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. I hope everybody's been having a great day. I sure have, but I hate to say it. Well, now that hurricane has been downgraded, but it's still going to hit like the Carolinas. And I tell you, they're expecting major flooding. Hey, James, are you on here tonight?
Yes, I am. How are you doing tonight, Gary?
I'm doing good, but I've really been watching the news today. You know, they expect that storm to come in. It's not a hurricane anymore because it's been downgraded, but they expect major wind and major flooding all around the Carolinas.
Yeah, I've been through a few hurricanes, and it all depends on low tide and high tide, and when the wave surges come in, that can make a big difference.
Yeah, and actually, some of the little towns around there right now are starting to have flooding on the roads. I guess there's an island out there too, and I can't think of the name of it, but they already are getting a little bit flooded too. My heart goes out to those people.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, and then with the economy the way it is, a lot of people can't afford to rebuild and stuff, and those winds, unless you've been through 150, 100-mile-an-hour winds, you just don't realize they tear trees down, they tear your windows out, your roofs off, it's just all kind of damage.
Yeah, what do you mean the economy? I've been listening to our president. Our economy is robust. It's doing really good. Excuse me, I just had a cough there, and it wasn't from smoking a cigar because I haven't smoked one today. But, I don't know. I sure hope this trade talks get back in with China back going very soon. And, I hope they can negotiate. I hope our president doesn't put any more onto China, because it's going to affect me and you and everybody else. I mean, the average single person in this country is going to affect them about $700 a year, maybe in a family up to around $1,000 a year buying more stuff. And if you're on a pension or on disability, or you're working for, I hate to say it, I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there, but most of them are at minimum wage. I don't even know how people are surviving on that, let alone all of a sudden, things going up. And I was reading an article here recently, James, that, like the Dollar Trees and dollar stores, well, yeah, they're trying to figure out what to do because they won't be able to sell that stuff for $1 anymore. So what's it going to be now? The $5 store?
Yeah, the $5 or close to $1 store. Jeez. Yeah, there's a lot of them stores in my area. That's for sure. They pop up everywhere, and I guess they're going to be unpopping up from the sounds of things.
Well, it just depends what happens. I mean, they're going to get hit the heaviest, from the standpoint of, they buy stuff in bulk, they buy it cheap. Well, all of a sudden, if it costs them over $1 to sell for $1, you can't stay in business that way.
No, the only one who can do that's Walmart. That's because it gets you on something else.
Yay, I don't know. A lot of things going on in politics today, which I kind of am going to stay away. Well, you got anything you want? Oh, Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. I heard of that. I seen that. What'd you see?
Well, I read that they are now thinking it's a giant eel.
Well, I did see yesterday a video. I don't know if I missed it yesterday or not, but I did see the video, and I seen the eel. It looked like it might have been 6 to 8 foot long, if I had to guess. But they took some DNA. They got this technique now where they can take water samples of lakes or streams, and they can filter the DNA out of it to see what's in there. And they detected, eels. Now, they don't know if it's a large eel, but from what I see on that video, it looks like I don't see no doubt why there couldn't be large eels. And very easily could be mistaken for Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, and maybe who knows how big an eel can get in a lake like that. So they could be a 12, 13, 14 foot eel, and that makes kind of sense too, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because a lot of people have said they've seen serpentine things and stuff like that, and if you've never seen an eel, they look a lot like a snake in the water. And if you see one that's a foot and a half around and 7, 8, 10 feet long, that's a very potent predator. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and they really bite hard too.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I seen that one show a couple years ago where that guy there from England, he was somewhere in Australia seeing about these eels, and he put food all over him. They was hanging off his arms, just biting him like crazy. I'd be like, not me, not today.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Australia. You know what they found in Australia on a road goes to one of the little mining towns? They found a meteorite that contains iron that could not be formulated by nature. And it was rather kind of interesting. It hit the news here today.
I did not catch that one. That's very interesting. Now, when you say not formulated by nature...
Well, iron carbide. And they said the way it was made up, it was no way it could have happened on Earth naturally.
I see. That's a lot like that dagger they found King Tut's tomb. That was, thousands of years old, no rust, and it was kind of out of place, and it was made from a meteorite, I guess, and that was kind of unique, definitely. And like you were saying, the contents, the molecular contents of it didn't match with the Earth and everything.
Yeah, well, who knows? It's just a lot of interesting things. Now, do you got anything more exciting to tell the listeners?
I do. I forgot to mention it, but on the 1st, it marked the 40th anniversary of Val Johnson. He was a deputy sheriff in Minnesota. He collided with a UFO, and it totally damaged the car, and it knocked him unconscious. Do you remember that story back in 1979?
No, I don't. Do you know a little bit about it so you can tell the listeners?
Yeah, I guess he was a deputy sheriff, and he was out at night, doing a patrol, and he had seen a bright light, and he hit head on with it. And they got the car in a museum somewhere there, but it dented the antenna and scratched up the car and stuff, and I think it messed up the radio. It was just very weird and peculiar, and they never could prove what it was, and it knocked him unconscious. And it's a very interesting case.
Well,
and it's still they really don't have no answers for it, really.
Yeah, well, maybe it's been touched probably by millions of people, but you could always think of taking swabs of DNA and see what they come up with.
Right. Now, there is another, a book just came out about a story about, let's see, what was his name? Major Filer out of Fort Dix back in the 70s. I guess at Fort Dix, it was like 2 a.m. He was patrolling the base, and it was like a secluded part of the base, and he noticed these bright lights. So he was pursuing them for about 2 hours, and then he realized the bright lights, which were like bluish and greenish, were right above him. So he gets out, to investigate, and in front of his headlights appeared this being. And I guess he yelled freeze and shot the being and killed it. And when he killed this being, it gave off a real strong ammonia odor. And then shortly after, I guess, some people from Wright Pat Air Force Base came and took the body. And they had asked the sergeant there. There was like, I don't know what the staff sergeant or whatever, but, the sergeant's in charge of everything. He knows everything that's going on. And they'd asked him, drilled him, what was going on, what was this, and he said, it's not from another country, it's from outer space. He said they're buzzing all around our planet all the time. So I thought that was a pretty fascinating story.
Yeah, well, there's no such thing as UFOs, and there's no such thing as aliens. It's all made up. You know that. I
know, but
why not? I could be the opposite tonight, and guess what'll land on my property during the middle of the night.
Yeah, start howling like owls, and you'd be like, is that an owl or is that something else?
Yeah. I just can't believe how people can deny, James, and say that, hey, there's no such thing as UFOs. I got a great guest on, Chad-Meek, coming on tonight. And we're going to talk about his grandfather and, what happened back in the 40s at Giant Rock. And also, I want to tell the listeners out there, when you go onto the website, I made some modifications. So now it's going to post who the guest is each night. And it's going to also put what the subject is and the title in there and the date. So that way you can go back, starting as of today forward, you can go back and, if I say on such and such date we had such and such on, you can just go through it. The way it was before it was set up, the person that set the website, you didn't know who was there. I mean, you have to go through about 400 shows to find one show. Impossible. This way makes logical sense.
That is fantastic, because now you can go there and see what you want and get updated and know who's coming on. That's great. I like that.
Or you go back onto the archives and you want to listen to, a previous show. Again, it starts tonight forward. But, 2 weeks from now, if you missed a show, you can go back and you can see what the guest was and see if that's your fancy to listen to.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Heck yeah. I'm all for that.
It should have been it should have been done 2 years ago.
Yeah, daggone it, Gary. What's wrong with you?
Gag me with a spoon. Stab me with a fork.
I'm going to send you for a walkabout out in the woods by yourself.
Oh, that'd be totally awesome. Hey, dude, that'd be really cool. Far out, man.
Yeah, right. I did hear another report last week about a Bigfoot in Maine. Actually, 3 Bigfoot.
No. Wait a minute. No. If there's more than one, is Bigfoot. Big feet for more than one.
Okay. Well, I guess there was some big feet, and 3 of them.
He went for it.
I know it. Anyway, the older gentleman, he was out there, and they started throwing rocks at him, and he took a video of it, but it's very grainy. You can't see much in the video, really, but I guess they'll start, throwing rocks at him. Didn't want him there, and it kind of reminded me of another story or an event I heard from somebody else. But anyway, he got out of there really shortly after anyway.
Yeah, I had somebody email me today, and I was talking to him. They went out, so excited here at the beginning of spring, looking for a Bigfoot, and they were up, somewhere up in the Cascades. I wonder if it's near Sam's place. But they were out in the Cascades, and they were, looking for Bigfoot. They were finding these, kind of half-made shelters. Never finished shelters, these sticks put up. I would think, people would find the actual shelter, but they only find sticks. But they started hearing the banging of a tree getting, slapped, the bark. Mm-hmm. So he said they started doing it back. And then